The other day, I was walking home from the gym and then it happened. I got hit by the urge. Back when I was addicted to pornography, there would have been only one possible outcome here. But now, things are different. Or are they? Right now, I'm in the middle of the Spartan Mode challenge, and that means, among other things, that I'm not sexually active at all. I'm not masturbating, I'm not having sex, I'm of course not watching porn, I'm also avoiding all kinds of other stimulating things like social media. So when the urge hits me, I have no outlet. You know what this is like, right? If you've ever done NoFap or you've tried to overcome porn addiction, you know what this feels like. All of a sudden you get these thoughts and desires welling up inside you and it can feel uncontrollable. And then you struggle and fight against the urge as hard as you can, and usually at some point you can't take it anymore, and that's when you relapse. That's what happens to most guys anyway. But I'm the how to quit porn addiction guy, so what happens to me when I experience the urge? So let me tell you exactly how it went down, and if you keep watching in my story, you'll discover the only two abilities you need to beat porn addiction for good. So, back to the story. There I was, on my way home, and all of a sudden my mind gets filled with sexual thoughts and desires, like out of nowhere. And I start feeling the desire surge through my body. And I just keep walking and head home. But then, once I got home, I didn't do anything because the feeling had already passed. Okay, hold on. What's going on here? Wasn't this supposed to be a story of my heroic struggle against the urge? Why did the urge I felt just fade away? What's the special technique I used to defeat it? What Jedi mind trickery is this? So let's break down exactly what happened. From what I've told you so far, it seems like I got the urge and then nothing happened. And in a way, that's exactly right, but there's more to it than you think. The key word here is nothing. You see, when I notice sexual thoughts appear in my mind, I don't respond to them. I don't try to push them away. I don't judge them. I don't worry about what's going to happen next. I treat them like any other random thought that pops into my mind. The thought appears and I do nothing. And when feelings of desire are growing in my body, I also don't respond. I pay attention to the feelings, I feel them, but that's it. I don't try to push them away and I don't try to hold on to them. The feelings appear and I do nothing. As a result of this, the urge fades after maybe a minute or two. And by the time I get home, my mind has already moved on to the next random thing, which is what the mind does. But hold on, that's not the end of the story. Now I'm at home and I'm alone, and later that night, as I'm lying in bed, those same sexual thoughts come back and I feel the urge rising again. And it's no wonder, since I didn't give myself any kind of release before, similar thoughts and feelings, desires come back now later in the day. And now I'm in bed and I'm all alone. It's the perfect place to relapse. So what do? Once again, I do nothing. I let my mind think the thoughts without grasping onto them, and I pay attention to the feelings in my body without judging them. And they are nice and pleasant feelings, actually. The feeling of arousal and desire is kind of a warm, tingly feeling in my body. So I just lie there and I let the thoughts and feelings play out, and I relax, and eventually I fall asleep. So even when I'm at home and alone and I have all the privacy in the world and it's the perfect time to relapse, the exact same thing plays out. The urge arises, I don't respond, and the urge passes. I do nothing, but it works as a way to deal with my urges. Why is that? Like I said, there's more to this than you'd think, so let's look at exactly why this doing nothing works so well and how you can do the same. But first, if you're currently struggling with porn addiction and you want to overcome it once and for all, the Quit by Healing program is for you. It's my step-by-step 21-day course that teaches you exactly what to do in what order to beat this addiction and heal your brain. Check out the first link in the description to learn more. So here are the 4 factors that make doing nothing so effective. 1. No fighting. If you try to fight a thought, a feeling, or an urge, what happens? It persists. Try to fight it and it sticks around. Try to suppress it and you get more of it. Check out this video to learn more about why this is how the mind works. 2. No judging. Notice in my story how I am not framing my sexual thoughts and feelings as a negative thing. This is really important. If I'm a porn addict and I think I have to absolutely avoid any sexual thoughts in order to stay clean, what happens when those thoughts randomly pop into my head? I immediately start worrying. I go, oh no, here are the sexual thoughts. Oh no, I can feel desire. Oh no, I bet this means I'm going to have to struggle and fight and then I'm going to relapse again and then I'm going to feel so bad because I relapsed, and so on. Suddenly, a simple thought becomes this big, important, dramatic and emotional thing, and of course, that also makes it persist. That makes it suddenly stick around for longer. And now your thoughts are circling around this and worrying about it, and then 10 minutes later, you're still thinking about it, and 15 minutes later, you're still fighting the urge, and it just never stops. When you worry and stress about these thoughts, when you judge them as something negative, it's like you're feeding them with your attention and your energy, and they grow stronger and stronger. I'm not doing any of that. I don't see a sexual thought any different from, say, thinking about food. Right? Sometimes during the day you go, it would be nice to have some food right now. That's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. It also doesn't mean that you immediately have to go and eat something. And just the same, sometimes you just randomly think about something sexual, and there's nothing wrong with that either. 3, no clinging. This is the flip side to no judging. I don't try to push the thought away, but I also don't try to hold on to it. I don't keep my mind circling around the same thought. I don't try to amplify the sexual fantasy. I don't try to escalate it or keep it going for longer. When you don't cling, what happens is that you'll have a brief thought or maybe a short fantasy play out in your mind, and then it goes away. 4, stay present with the feelings. The final point is to stay present with your feelings, specifically the physical sensations in your body. And that is true even if something shows up as a thought or an emotion at first. You can direct your attention to the physical sensations that go along with it. And just like with the thoughts, you experience the feeling, but you let it pass through you without judging it, without trying to push it away, and without clinging onto it. The result of these 4 steps is that you can experience urges without the suffering. I sometimes experience random thoughts and feelings of sexual nature, just like anyone else. The problem is that if you're a porn addict, you feel these thoughts and feelings like everyone else, but you immediately start worrying. You stress about them, you judge them, and that is what keeps them around and then leads to relapse. This response to this reaction to these thoughts and feelings, judging them and not wanting to feel them, is also what actually makes you suffer. So the reason I don't suffer is because I don't resist. So at the core of all this is my ability to stay present with what's happening inside me without responding to it. This is the doing nothing we've been talking about. And ultimately, there are only 2 abilities you need to beat porn addiction for good. 1, the ability to feel pleasant feelings and experience them without wanting to hold on to them. And 2, the ability to feel unpleasant feelings and experience them without trying to get rid of them and without trying to distract yourself from them. When it comes right down to it, you are addicted because you always want to feel good and you always want to avoid feeling bad. If you truly develop the ability to feel just how you're feeling right now without wanting to change it, where can addiction get its hooks into you? Also, the ability to sit with your feelings and let them play out is how you uncover the core underlying issues that made you an addict in the first place. And this is a key step to actually healing those underlying issues and fully healing from your porn addiction. And check out this video to learn more about how to do that. So how can you put this into practice? How can you too learn to experience urges without suffering and without having them lead to relapse? First, realize that you will have sexual thoughts and desires. And thinking that you have to eliminate sexual thoughts and desires is never going to work. That's an impossible goal. Second, the only way to learn this skill of non-responding is by practicing it. And here there's good news and bad news. The bad news is that as a porn addict, you have an overly sexual mind, which means that you think sexual thoughts and feel urges far more often than someone who's not addicted. And that can be difficult to deal with. But there's also the good news in that, which means, well, you get to practice a lot. So every time you feel the urge, every time you feel sexual thoughts arise, that's a chance for you to just let it happen, to practice not responding, to practice truly doing nothing. Sometimes this can be really difficult to practice on your actual urges, especially if you're severely addicted. But you can also practice this same thing in other ways. For example, by fasting, taking ice baths, doing one more set in a difficult workout, or getting up in the morning, getting out of bed as soon as the alarm rings. What all of these examples have in common is that you'll feel an urge or an impulse to do one thing, and you can allow that without responding to it. So when you're fasting, you think, oh, I want to eat right now, and you go, that's fine. It's okay to think that and to feel hungry, but I'm not going to eat. Or when you're in cold water, you feel like I need to get out, and you can allow yourself to feel wanting to get out, but just stay there anyway. In each case, you are learning that it is okay to have these thoughts and feelings and that you don't have to follow them. Being hungry doesn't mean you have to eat right now. Being cold doesn't mean you have to get out of the water right now. Feeling the urge doesn't mean you have to jerk it to porn right now. When you truly understand that you don't have to respond to desire, to an urge, with porn, with a release, then addiction stands no chance. So that is the power of doing nothing. What are your questions about this? Let me know by leaving a comment below. Also, if you appreciate the kind of content I'm making and you appreciate that I'm trying to provide something that goes more in depth and provides more tools than the overly simplistic NoFap approach you usually see, I would really appreciate a like, a comment, sharing this with a friend, doing all this kind of stuff that tells the algorithm to show this video to more people. I want to help as many people as possible get unhooked and live a better life, and I can only do it with your help.